Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. It's Kawhi Leonard versus LeBron James. Skip and Shannon debate who's better right now. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is here and breaks down why Skip is right, and he says you can't count out the Greg Popovich Spurs even without Tony Parker. Shannon channels an old proverb that a single lie discovered is enough to create a contagious doubt over every other truth expressed. To sum up the new Tim Tebow controversy. Skip calls the Cowboys Super Bowl odds more about the Patriots than the Cowboys draft, and he loves his 12-4 prediction for Dallas more than ever. Finally, Skip and Shannon discuss if it would be a bad look for the NFL if Colin Kaepernick goes unsigned. Skip and Shannon, exciting games last night.
A boring night.
I mean,
not much
that old dude up in Northeast Ohio,
he did?
he put my mind at ease real early.
Really? I didn't
Real
even watch
early.
that. Did they play last night?
Oh, you watched.
I didn't. I just watched the second game, the showcase, the marquee game.
You ain't see him hit that three from Sandusky?
Sandusky?
Hit a three from Sandusky.
Really? It might have been the first one he's ever made then. Huh.
You realize, like, he got 300 three-pointers in the playoff, right?
Oh. You realize he's the worst three-point shooter in the history of the NBA?
Well, how he get to 300 in the playoffs?
No, because he's played like 99 playoff games.
202.
Oh, 202.
He lead scorer, too.
Well, we'll talk about them in a little bit. The Spurs beat the Rockets last night to even the series at one game apiece. Kawhi Leonard had 34 points with a career-high 8 assists. James Harden was held to 13 points on 3 for 17 shooting in the fourth quarter. Tony Parker injured his left knee and was down on the ground for several minutes. Parker had to be carried off the court and did not return. He is currently having an MRI, and Adrian Wojnarowski just reported the Spurs are expecting him to be out for the rest of the playoffs. We're joined by Chris Broussard. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Great
Chris,
to be here.
Are you surprised by the Spurs win?
No, I'm not surprised at all. And Skip knows on our previous network, I was counting out the Spurs way back in 2009, saying they were old and they were done. So I've learned my lesson, never to count them out. Seriously, a Greg Popovich team, I won't count them out. And that goes for if Tony Parker is out. I still give them a shot to win this series. They're 23-6 without Parker the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. We know they're 7-1 without Kawhi this year.
Right.
So for them, it's always next man up. They'll miss Tony because he's, outside of Kawhi, he's that only guy that can really get inside the paint and create for himself or other players. So they'll miss that. I think you'll see the ball in Kawhi's hands more, which you've already been seeing. Yeah. And he's been making some plays, getting more assists than he had in the past. Jonathan Simmons, I don't know if you'll see him anymore. He's already playing about 20 minutes a game. But DeJounte Murray, who's not a great shooter, but he is long, he's athletic. Maybe he can guard the perimeter a little bit better, too. So, look, I thought they made good adjustments. They played with more energy. They ran the Rockets off the three-point line a lot more. They took 53s in game one, 34 last night. And they don't like taking two-point shots unless they're layups. Yeah. So they figured some things out. I think it's going to be a great series, even if Parker is out.
Right.
I have tried to warn both of you over time that no team in the playoffs, in the history of the playoffs, can look so bad one night, look so old, slow, unathletic, and boring, and flip a switch by making adjustments and somehow just taking the energy up, the will and the skill up. And they lost the first game by 27 and played the worst defense I've ever seen them play. They were not ready for the game. And I swear, I'm standing by what I said. They did not take the Rockets very seriously. They had beaten the Rockets the last 3 times they played them in the regular season, and they lost the first game to them out of the 4 by 2 points. And Kawhi had a last shot to tie the game and missed that one. But that was early in the year. So they're looking at the Rockets as a team that doesn't play any defense, and it took it way up on defense in game 1. So they got shocked, and they got rocked, and they got embarrassed. And no team that I know of has better bounce-back character than the Spurs do because they know how to do it. They go back to the drawing board. They say, okay, maybe we should start Gasol. They always make one big key lineup switch. and then they'll play different lineups. The most devastating lineup last night was, unfortunately, Tony Parker with Patty Mills with Ginobili. So they played 3 guards, and LaMarcus Aldridge, this is what's devastating to me, beyond obviously Tony's, which is horrible news. It looks like he's gone, but LaMarcus Aldridge has lost his way. And I don't know if he's pouting because he's not the man anymore. This became Kawhi's team all year, and maybe he just decided, okay, let him do it. I'll just stand over here in the corner.
That was part of why he was unhappy in Portland.
Yeah.
Because he felt Lillard was
Damon.
That is correct.
Yep.
And so he has some of that going on. And I still like him personally. I think he's got a good heart to him. But he's not the man type. And they tried to make him the man last year, and it failed miserably. So now he's lost his confidence, and he's lost his shot. He used to make that little 15-foot open shot like in his sleep, like it was a free throw. And now he misses the rim sometimes. I have no faith it's even going to hit the rim. So they're doing this without him. And this year he became their rim protector and their number 1 rebounder. Last night he got his hands on balls and couldn't hold on to them because he's out of it. So they're doing this in spite of no LaMarcus Aldridge. So it's basically Kawhi or bust on offense to me. They get a little spark from Patty. They got a good spark from Ginobili last night. But Tony Parker was really good. He scored 18 points. And I know you think we were talking about this earlier, you think he looks done sometimes, but every once in a while he'll have one big game where you say, wow, there he is. But again, I'm not going to write them off because he can't play, because I think they can be pretty good without them. And after he went out, they just ran away with the game. And I thought maybe Houston would creep back into the game when he went out. Nope.
Skip, you say something very interesting, and Chris touched on this. LaMarcus Aldridge leaving Portland to go to San Antonio because this wasn't the Kawhi that he thought would be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Kawhi's first 4 years, there's no way you saw this coming. And I say this all the time. Sometimes you can make your destiny on the very road you took to avoid it. Now, Greg Popovich told him that Tim Duncan is getting ready to retire. We see you as being our big guy, our Tim Duncan. It's going to be your team. Now, he went away because he didn't want to be second fiddle because Dame was coming. Yeah. Dame is a budgeting superstar.
Sure.
And he goes to San Antonio, and lo and behold, Kawhi happened. And I agree.
They didn't see it coming.
No.
Because they thought it was going to be LaMarcus's team.
Exactly.
He was the prize of free agency.
It was up until midway through that Oklahoma City series last year in the second round.
Yep.
We had 38 and 41 in the first 2 games. By the way, they blew out Oklahoma City by 32 in game 1 and then lost 4 the next 5. So you can't jump to these huge conclusions off one game.
Right. But when you look at it, can they win this series? I believe they can win this series, but they're not beating Golden State. They weren't beating Golden State with a healthy Tony Parker. But I give Pop credit for making these adjustments, going to Pop with Pau Gasol, who hadn't started since January. They dominated the boards. And when the shots aren't falling and you're giving the San Antonio Spurs 2 and 3 cracks at you, you're going to lose those games. But the biggest key, James Harden. Now, maybe that ankle is more banged up than what he's telling us, but his last 4 games, he's shooting 31% from the floor, 19% from 3. The best player on your team can't be the 4th leading scorer and beat a team that won 60 games in the regular season. That's not going to happen.
Look, for all, as great as Harden was in the regular season, for all the talk about Westbrook didn't do it in the playoffs, Harden's got something to prove too.
Yeah.
Whether they win the series or not, because most people thought the Spurs would win it, but he hasn't been great in the playoffs.
No, he hasn't.
You know, his first finals, now he was young, but he didn't do much against Miami. Remember, against Golden State a couple years ago, had a chance at the end of a game,
he
dribbled off his leg. And then when they beat the Clippers, when they came back from the 3-1 deficit, they made that run in Game 7 without him, when he was on the bench. So he's got to step up.
So, bottom line, my favorite player on the Spurs has always been Patty Mills. And Pop has fallen out of love with him over the last 2 years because he cannot defend point guards in the West. But he is a spectacular scorer. So I'm hoping he's going to get another shot as the starting point guard and be out of the doghouse now where he's just unleashed. And if you remember 3 years ago when he emerged on the scene, he exploded on the scene. And he was scoring, he had a stretch where he scored 18 in the 4th quarter at Charlotte, 16 in the 4th at the Clippers. And 13 in the fourth at Portland, and they came back and won all 3 games just because of him. He's only 5'11", but he's got a little bit of Isaiah Thomas type fourth quarter scoring.
He reminds you of old, and I don't know how many people that our listeners at home will remember, Benny Johnson of Detroit.
Yeah, he does.
They put him in the game, and they put him a high pick and roll with Lambert and Mahorn, or they're running him off screens, and that's what Patty Mills is. He can get buckets in a hurry, but in the West, you look at the point guards that you got to defend, and he's at a decided disadvantage because if you can't, it's hard to slow those guys down because you go Dame, you go Steph, you go Harden, you go Conley, you go Russ. Where you going with Patty?
Okay, but you can defend Patrick Beverly with Patty Mills.
Yes.
You can hang in with it.
Yes, because Beverly is not looking to get his own shot. He'll shoot the spot up 3, and then occasionally he can get to the basket, but he's more of a guy that's not looking for his shot. He's a very good on-ball defender, and if you leave him open, he can hit the 3. So Patty can guard him. That's a great matchup. So, but I don't think he starts. I think he keeps Patty Mills in his role as coming off the bench, and I believe Murray will be the starter.
That'll be interesting. Don't you think we'll see more of Kawhi almost playing kind of like LeBron?
Yes.
I said that to him earlier.
And Mills is a great shooter, so they'll kind of spot him up and see if he can hit his 3.
And listen, Ginobili can still, every once in a while, he makes 2 or 3 plays. He sparked that run early in the fourth.
Well, he got that rebound and made that great touch pass to Aldridge or Dedmon.
Yep.
And Duncan got the crowd right back in the great game, and it was over from there.
Skip, I think it seems like you've talked some sense into both of them.
It sounds like
He's back picking the Spurs in 7. Chris is
He did.
just
Are you
relaxed,
sticking
no
with
worries.
Houston?
I don't remember any of that.
You don't
Of course not.
I think I'm going with the Spurs. But not against going. I can't write them
One
off.
of these
I've
days we're
learned
going to
that
start recording these.
years ago.
No mercy. LeBron James had 39 points in last night's blowout win against the Raptors. Later last night, Kawhi Leonard had 34 points and a career-high 8 assists in the Spurs blowout win against the Rockets. Greg Popovich called Kawhi the best player in the NBA, and Trevor Ariza compared him to Kobe Bryant. During last night's Spurs game, TNT analyst Reggie Miller made a bold statement about Kawhi. Let's take a listen.
21 points in game 1 for the terrific Kawhi Leonard, which Greg Popovich called after the first-round series and 6-game win over the Memphis Grizzlies. Right now, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA.
Well, he's certainly the best two-way player in the game. There's no questioning that. I think if you're Russell Westbrook and James Harden, LeBron James, you have something to say about the best player. The best two-way player knocks down the first points of the evening here for the San Antonio Spurs.
Skip, is Kawhi better than LeBron right now?
Shannon.
Don't do it.
I hate to break this to you.
Don't do it.
You're going to have to face the fact it keeps happening night after playoff night. It comes clearer and clearer that, as Reggie, you just heard say, Kawhi's the best two-way player. And to me, doesn't that translate into the best overall player in the NBA? I'm sorry, it's over for LeBron. It's just over.
Cam Newton is the best two-way quarterback in the NFL. Who's the best quarterback?
Yeah, but basketball,
I
can't compare basketball to
I just
football.
asked you a question, Skip.
Basketball is offense, defense combined, because if you said Cam was a defender as well as playing quarterback, then you could make a case that he's the most valuable player in all of football if he could also play linebacker, but he can't because they don't do that. They're not two-way players. But you have to be a two-way player in basketball, so I think that makes you the best. And TNT asked Coach Popovich, who does Kawhi remind you of? And he immediately said the magic name, Michael Jordan.
You don't even believe that.
I do, because I know what he's trying to say. What has Kawhi now perfected? What is the unstoppable shot of Kawhi Leonard's, if we can just see one of these? He just takes his defender or his two defenders into the lane, and he rises up and slightly falls away and hangs and shoots little 8-foot jump shots that often turn into and ones. Who perfected that shot? Who does that remind you of? Michael Jeffrey Jordan. That was the unstoppable shot. That's the shot with which Michael could hang 50 or 60 on you because he just kept taking you into the lane, rising up over you, hanging and shooting little one-handed 8 or 10-foot jump shots. You just can't stop it. And last night, Houston had no answer for that. Trevor Ariza was asked, who does he remind you of? And he said his moves are Kobe moves. And he does move with that sort of explosive athleticism, that rise up, hang, and shoot of Kobe Bryant. So they're not saying, Pop is definitely not saying he's better than Michael Jordan or whatever. It's just in style, in scoring style, he's become that guy. And as an on-ball defender, LeBron's still great at roaming, playing center field. He disrupts.
He plays like Earl Thomas.
He does. And he's averaging 3 steals, albeit against the Pacers and the Raptors through the playoffs. But Kawhi is a lockdown. He's like your basic shutdown corner, except he's 6 feet 7 inches tall, and he can take a smaller man in 6'5" James Harden and just take him to school. He takes him out of everything he does because he is so quick, he is so long, he is, as you know, the claw. So not only does he have long arms, but he has long hands. So they're everywhere. He just took the ball away from Harden last night on one. Harden's just dribbling down the court. It's gone. Mike Conley, he turned the series around. He would just strip Mike Conley. He's one of the best ball handlers in basketball. He's dribbling. It's gone. It's going the other way. Oh, he dunked it.
But you didn't say that when he cooked Kawhi Leonard in games 3 and 4.
Who?
Mike Conley.
I just came in and I said he's the most underrated, underpublicized player in basketball.
Well, how you do that? How you do that to the claw? The best on-ball defender. How you do that?
Okay, but again, Kawhi wasn't always guarding Mike Conley when he was doing that, and he was doing it to everybody they tried to put on him, the best defensive team in basketball, because Mike Conley Jr. is really, really good, which is why you underestimated how hard it was to beat Memphis in the previous round between him and Gasol's brother, Mark, obviously. So the point is, Kawhi is a much better shooter scorer than LeBron. LeBron can still freight train and bully with anybody, especially in the East. There's nobody who can guard him or keep him from the rim, which is why I go crazy about LeBron. If it's a last shot situation, just go to the rim. But then you might have to go to the free throw line. And here we go again. LeBron shot 67%, a career low from the free throw line this regular season. Then he vowed, I'll be up in the upper 80s in the playoffs, and he's at 67% in the playoffs. So Kawhi Leonard, shooting free throws in the playoffs, he's 72 for 74. That's 97%. That's outrageously great. He was an 88% free throw shooter in the regular season, as he should be, as he emerges as a superstar player. He's a much better three-point shooter than LeBron, though I must give LeBron credit. In these playoffs, he's been on, by his standards, a little bit of a real hot streak.
Just for so everybody knows, and Joy and yours edification, Kawhi only shot 2% better in the regular season from 3 than LeBron.
Okay,
go ahead.
But going back 2 regular seasons ago, he was a 42%.
But I thought we were talking about right now. We're talking about right now.
For career, he's clearly a better three-point shooter. He's turned himself into a better three-point shooter than LeBron has. Okay. So when I sum all that up, defending, scoring mid-range, scoring from 3, and especially scoring from the free throw line, where he's just gotten to be automatic. I got to knock on wood because I'm afraid I'm going to jinx him some late-game situation. He's going to have 1 free throw to win. Knock on wood, please. Thank you very much. But again, 72 of 74. LeBron's already missed 23 free throws in the postseason. That's so bad for a quote-unquote Mount Rushmore player. So when I add all that up, and he's playing Memphis and Houston, and LeBron is playing Indiana and Toronto, you can just see the guard changing before your very eyes. The mantle is being passed. LeBron is past what he used to be. He's now the second best player in basketball.
You see how Joy looking at you? Joy looking at you, she ain't saying nothing. She's like, Skip, you crazy.
I'm listening to every word.
She's wrapped.
The answer to the question is, has Kawhi passed LeBron? And the answer is absolutely, 1,000% not. Let me ask you a question, Skip, because I keep hearing this two-way. When was Larry Bird or Magic Johnson ever the best two-way players in the NBA?
Never. Where are you looking at?
Over
here.
I'm looking at the
You don't play poker, right? You should not play poker.
Yeah.
So, put his hand
It's
down.
the all-time tell. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going.
I'm just
going in on
asking.
that
Are
one.
you asking Kawhi
Fold.
or me?
The problem is LeBron has been great for so long, and he's been doing this for so long, so well, you take for granted what you saw last night. He's the first man in 25 playoff seasons to score 39 points or more.
Awesome.
On 15 or fewer shots. 15. Skip. For the playoffs, he's 34, 9, 7, and 2. Kawhi Leonard last night, and I told you I was not going to address him as Kawhi. I was going to call him 2. until he got 8 assists in a game. Kawhi Leonard has now played 82 games if you count the regular season and the playoffs. He has won 8-assist game. LeBron James has 45 of those games.
He's the best passer.
Whoa,
in
Skip!
I would say that.
Skip, when you was talking, I ain't interrupt you. You tried to
I'm
interrupt.
helping your
No, I don't
case.
want you to help me. I don't need no help.
Yeah, you do.
If you see me and a bear in a fight, I want you to pour honey on me and help the bear, because I say it's illegal to kill a bear in California. So that remember that. Me and a bear fight.
Take it easy on the bear.
I want you to pour honey on me.
Don't give you any help?
Don't pour honey on me and help the bear. I can handle this. I got, when it comes to LeBron James,
Okay.
only 2 people can defend him better than I can. One's named Gloria James, she birthed him, and the other is Savannah James, and she loved him. So now, back to my point. LeBron James has 45 games. He's played 80 games if you can count the regular season and the postseason. Played 80 games. In 45 of those, he's had 8 assists or more.
We're doing ancient history versus now. What is the question? Now, N-O-W.
Okay, how about
current.
this here? 34, 9, 7, 2, and 2.
How about this? 13 of 16 last night for 34 points.
Oh, you did that.
with 3 steals.
Oh, you know what? It just so happened I got me a sheet like yours.
Yeah.
Oh, how about
Wait,
this?
who are you playing over there? Who's your competition? DeMar DeRozan?
Whoa,
Like that?
whoa, Skip.
Huh? You impressed?
Well, who's his competition? Who's the defensive guy over there?
All of them.
Oh, you
Trevor
just
Ariza?
you told me they got P.J. Tucker for him.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Say,
I told you yesterday that was a
Skip,
joke.
I need you to sit up. I need you to sit up real tall so I can speak nice and loud. You told me they got P.J. Tucker for him.
That's what they said.
What is DeMari Carroll?
I told you he was just going to bang on him.
I thought DeMari Carroll.
Carroll's like 42 now, and he doesn't even start anymore.
LeBron was 10 of 14, 6, 5, 2, and 2.
Don't throw Toronto at me. It's a joke.
Skip.
It's over.
They're the 7th best defensive team in the NBA. Where was Houston?
Played in the East.
See, you see what you do? Every time LeBron does something, you try and minimize it or negate it because he plays in the East. When he wins finals, he's not playing the East.
Yep. So here's my other question.
Okay.
Help me out.
I
Who's
got
that
you.
guy who plays alongside LeBron? Let's see, Kyrie.
Drew?
Uncle Drew, he
Yeah.
had 22 last night.
What did he shoot, Skip?
And he's,
What did he shoot?
Is he a perennial
Skip,
all-star?
what did he
He
shoot?
was 6 of 19, but he is really good. On some nights, he goes big. He'll go for 37 or 40.
Is Pau Gasol a perennial all-star?
He once upon a time was.
Okay,
Now
what
he's
about
like
LaMarcus?
38.
What about LaMarcus?
He used to be an
Okay,
all-star.
what about-
Do you
was
think,
20
did he make the all-star team this year?
What about Tony Parker?
What about Kevin Love? So it's Kyrie and Kevin Love, and now it's Kawhi against the world. He has no help. You told me after game 1, that's all I heard from you and Chris Broussard, they're just old and slow.
They're still old.
It's just Kawhi or bust. That's what everybody said. It's
still
Kawhi or
old.
bust.
Kawhi played an unbelievable game.
If it's Kawhi or bust, then he must have far less help than LeBron James. Take away LeBron, take away Kawhi. Who has the better team? Which team is better? It's easily
Spurs.
Cavaliers.
The
Oh,
Spurs.
come on. It's the Cavaliers times 10.
Skip, all I know is that when Kawhi was on the bench to start the 4th, they went on an 11-0 run. How many 11-0 runs when LeBron's on the bench have the Cavs gone through? You see, the problem is the reason.
A lot.
Stop it! Don't do that.
No, I'm serious. They have many
The
times.
reason why Kawhi cannot overtake LeBron because he never has to worry about the pressures. Skip, they lost by 47,000 points on Monday, and not one time did anybody ask what was wrong with Kawhi.
He was good.
Hold on, Skip.
He was the only thing they had going on Monday.
Hold on, Skip. You told me when LeBron dropped almost a triple dub on the Pelicans, you told me he was terrible. He missed the last second shot. But when Kawhi airballed the one in Memphis, you talk about what about the overtime and fourth
Well, what
quarter?
about it? He had been
He missed
staggeringly
the
great.
final shot.
He did.
He
had no plan about it. He got caught against the clock. He hasn't been playing that long.
I play.
Remember, one guy came out of Akron, Ohio, tattooed as the chosen one.
When you know it.
Okay.
Call your shot.
Are you not asking for pressure?
Call it.
And the other guy was somewhere in L.A. and then in far southern California, San Diego State, and he stayed for 2 years, and the Spurs stole him with what was the 16th overall pick
They
for
traded
George Hill.
Hill.
Really?
Skip.
Really? So nobody's going to expect as much from Kawhi Leonard as LeBron James. And it's why people are overlooking the point, because they sleep on the San Antonio Spurs, that Kawhi quietly, the quiet assassin, has taken over from LeBron as the best all-around player in basketball.
He can't score like LeBron. He can't rebound like LeBron. He can't assist like LeBron. But let me ask you a question. As an 18-year-old, when they put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated and they call him the chosen one, has he met or exceeded expectations?
Except for in the clutch, every other way. Except he wasn't born with the clutch gene.
What
Kawhi's got the
what
clutch
happened
gene.
in Indy? That 3 in Game 4?
What happened?
What happened in Chicago?
Yeah, they went down. Paul George happened. He was the one without the clutch gene.
This is not a Paul George discussion. This is about LeBron and Kawhi. Because all I know, in the most recent, like you say, we're not doing ancient history. Because I ain't bring up the 497 games in the regular season playoffs that LeBron has 8 or more assists and Kawhi has 1. I'm not talking about that. In these playoffs, who has hit more clutch jumpers? LeBron.
Kawhi has. It's not even close.
He missed his game-winning shot.
My God, they were dead in the water in Memphis. How about Game 6? How about...
What about 25 down? Are you dead in the water at 25 down?
Against the Pacers, they're jokes. They're woeful.
They're an intramural team? They're a rec league team? I mean...
They're a D-League team.
They might be part of the Big 3. Are they playing the Big 3 in Ice Cube? Hey, Q, you signed Paul George to the Big 3?
He should. You know what? Paul George finally got to go to Disneyland yesterday. I'm going to Disneyland. And he won what? Nothing.
Well, I tell you what, when they lose and Kawhi gets blamed, then we can talk. When he has to deal with the pressures of the king, then we can talk.
Well, Kawhi's just, he's just a quiet, humble guy. He doesn't have the personality
LeBron said, look at me, watch what I do.
And LeBron, so he
be
kind of gets
dancing.
overlooked.
No mercy.
Christine Brennan wrote a column for USA Today discussing Colin Kaepernick not being on an NFL roster right now. She interviewed noted sociologist Dr. Harry Edwards, who has worked with Kaepernick as a consultant with the 49ers. Edwards says of Kaepernick, I'm of the opinion he's going to end up on somebody's roster. It would be in the league's interest for that to happen, to not create a martyr of him, especially when they have people on teams accused of rape and knocking women out. He was just named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Give me a break. If you're the NFL, you want him on a team. Shannon, does Dr. Edwards have a point?
Yes, he has a point, and I agree with him that this would be a very bad look for the NFL. But I disagree with him saying the NFL should give him a handout. They should just give him a fair opportunity. And people are like, well, a second chance. Colin Kaepernick doesn't deserve or doesn't need a second chance because he's done nothing to mess up his first chance. Are we in a society, have we reached the point that we look down upon, we scoff, we ostracize a man that takes a knee in protest more so than a domestic abuser or some of these offenses that some of these NFL players, is that where we are now, Skip, as a society? Have we reached that point that people are more disgusted? People, owners, coaches are more disgusted by what Colin Kaepernick did than with some of the players that they've signed in the past or some of the players that they signed. Look at it like this, Skip. Every player that had a check mark or had a red mark or had a flag got drafted. Be it being accused of a crime or being convicted of an act, they got drafted. Some went in the first round, some went in the second round, but everybody got drafted by at least the 6th round. And like Colin Kaepernick can't get an interview. Now Blaine Gabbert, the guy that Colin Kaepernick replaced in San Francisco, he has a career record. He started 40 games in his career, Skip. He's 9-31. Colin Kaepernick has gone to a Super Bowl, led a team to an NFC title game, and this guy's about to get an opportunity to sign with the Cardinals. Colin Kaepernick has given $1 million out of his own pocket. Colin Kaepernick donated the money from his jersey sales last year. At one point in time, Skip, remember, he was leading in jersey sales. He donated that money to a cause that would help and best represented the cause that which he was fighting for. He got Turkish Airways to give a jet food supplies to the famine that's stricken Somalia. He's standing out there this week in front of a parole office, handing out suits so guys, when they go on an interview, can look presentable. But here's what I'm asking. If Colin Kaepernick can't get an interview for his protest, how does the guy get a job that's gone through the process, Skip? How does he get a job if he's stolen something? How does he get a job if he's assaulted somebody? If this man can't get a job and he's taking a stance. But his biggest thing that he's done, Skip, in that protest that's brought light to Adam Jones. I'm not sure Adam Jones would have did what he done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Boston Red Sox definitely would have done, because this is not the first time that someone in that stadium has hurled racial epithets or slurs at someone.
Yep.
But it's the first time that they've been banned.
Yep.
You see what is happening? Colin Kaepernick is getting a little bit more traction, because when people are starting doing this, people are losing their jobs. People are calling them out. Time voted him one of the most 100 influential people in the world. That's Colin Kaepernick. And because of what he did, because he thought it was so unfair that black men and women and minorities were losing their life unarmed at the hand of police officers, people ostracize him and say, you're worse than some of the guys that got jobs currently going into the NFL.
By the way, I think 100 is too long a list. I think he would deserve to be in the top 10 most.
Especially this year.
Seriously.
Yes.
Maybe top 5, because he had powerful impact, whether you like the way he originally protests or not. And I told you the first day we did this show, I cringed initially until I started to open my ears to listen to his message. His message was correct, and it resonated. And I think it opened a lot of ears and a lot of eyes around this country. So he did a great thing. At what cost to his football career? I'm not sure. I thought he played pretty to very well as a starting quarterback last year.
Yes.
He has nothing to show for it, or very little to show for it, because they wound up 2-14 and had the second pick in the draft. And then the new regime took over and cut bait with Colin Kaepernick. And it surprised me, because silly me, I thought that Kyle Shanahan say, yeah, I had RG3 and we did some good stuff with RG3 his rookie year,
Right.
that he would say, I can do this. I
Right.
can win with
Correct.
it, especially just for the next year or two until they find whoever their quarterback is going to be going down the road.
Correct.
So it surprised me when our man Chris Carter came in a couple of weeks ago and said, no, I just don't think he's good enough to be a starting quarterback. You don't? Really? That was a powerful statement from Chris.
Yep.
So is that the bottom line? Are some teams, or too many teams, any team with any need at all, just saying he's just not good enough? He's regressed too far from those first couple of big years when he should have won.
Right.
He almost won the Super Bowl. I thought
Right.
it was a very controversial non-call. And then obviously he was one throw away from getting back to the Super Bowl that Richard Sherman intercepted. So to me, this whole notion of the handout you talk about,
Right.
look, do I want to see him on it? Yeah. Would it be a good look for the NFL for him to be on a team?
Yeah.
Sure it would. But now, can you ask an owner or a GM for a favor? I'm going back to the Michael Sam situation. I thought Michael Sam was pretty good in college, because he was only the co-defensive player of the year in the Southeastern Conference. That'll work, right? So we talked about on the old show, where would you take him in the draft? Michael Sam. I said 3rd round. He fell all the way to the 7th round, and Jeff Fisher took him. And then a lot of people thought, well, maybe Jeff was doing, as one of the members of the competition committee, was he doing a favor for the commissioner in the NFL just for the look of it?
7th round, the guys from Missouri.
It was
you
perfect.
play
right
in
down the
Missouri.
road. Yep, okay. And they kept him not very long. And then some people thought Jerry Jones did another favor for the commissioner by giving Michael Sam a second shot with the Dallas Cowboys. And it didn't last very long either, because I was told, I never saw him on the field, but that he just wasn't very good even in their practices. Whatever, and now he's gone.
Because think about who he was playing next to. Shane Ray, 1st round pick. Coney Ealy. That's what was, because here's, okay.
And now Charles Harris this year, there's like a pipeline.
So how about this, Skip?
Yeah.
You don't think he can play? At least they gave Michael Sams an opportunity. Somebody brought him in. Bring Colin Kaepernick in. Give him a chance. Well, Colin Kaepernick wants to be a starter. Wow, that's a bad thing. The guy wants to start in the NFL. Wow, we're holding that against him. You would like to think everybody wants to start in the National Football League. Now, we all know everybody can't, but I'm looking at this. How did Josh McCown play last year? Not very good. What about Brian Hoyer? Not very good.
They both had their moments.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And that's the thing, though, Skip. We keep saying, well, he can't play. When has Josh McCown really been good? When has Brian Hoyer ever been
so
good?
To your point, would Colin Kaepernick be better than anybody the Jets have on their roster right now next year? Absolutely, he would. Would he be better to me than Blake Bortles next year? Could they win more games with Colin Kaepernick than Blake Bortles, who's sort of lost his way? Yeah, I think so. I don't know about Kaepernick as a backup. I don't know if he has that sort of mentality. And obviously, his skill set.
Well, he started out as a backup. So if you start out like that, clearly you got the, because.
But then he had a coach who really believed in him enough that in midstream that year, he said, nope, I'm going to demote the number 1 overall pick in the draft, originally, Alex Smith. I'm going to go with this kid. Okay? And it worked. Because Jim Harbaugh helped it work. But now you would have to find a coach who really believed in what Colin does, because he does need to run with it a little bit.
Oh, kind of like these coaches really believe that Josh McCown can help them win. Like these coaches that believe that Brian Hoyer can help them win. You see, and well, what type of offense are you going to run for? Well, what type of offense are you going to run for Josh McCown? We already know how it's going to end. You're going to lose games. Brian Hoyer, we already know. You're going to lose. But I am so ashamed and disappointed in America, that we look less favorable on this man for a protest than we do some of the worst of the worst.
I get that, but in the end, as you well know, these GMs, these owners, they just want to win in the end. And if you convince them that Joe Mixon is currently more valuable than Colin Kaepernick, they're more liable to take a risk on.
If you did a poll, I guarantee you, you will find people that looks down upon him more than they look down on Joe Mixon. I guarantee it, Skip Bayless.
Well, there's a lot of sociological elements playing into that, which we do not have enough time to get into. But we live in divided times. We know how half the country feels about a lot of things. So sports is a microcosm of society. There's enough doubt in Colin Kaepernick's skill that it's enough to justify staying away from him because of whatever PR hit you would take.
What's worse than being unpatriotic, Skip? You can lose your life. Think about it.
Apparently not very much.
Being a traitor, espionage, you can lose your life for that. So obviously how they think about that flag and how they think about America, you turn your back. You unpatriotic. You won't stand for the flag. You make $16 million.
Well, there's obviously a lot of debate on what exactly is unpatriotic as well when it comes to this.
Yeah.
No mercy. Now that the NFL draft is over, football has released their updated Super Bowl odds. The Cowboys are now 12-1 to win it all, but their odds have steadily declined since the end of the season. The Cowboys are now tied with the Raiders, Falcons, Packers, and Seahawks, and right now the Patriots are the overwhelming favorite. Skip, what do you make of the decline in the Cowboys' Super Bowl odds?
So, Shannon Sharpe, what do we make of this? As soon as the Super Bowl finished, Vegas says next year Cowboys are favored to win it all at 9-1. Then they fell back a little bit in March to 10-1. And all of a sudden, they fell clear back to 12-1. Not because of their demise as a football team, because I told you, I really liked their draft. I gave it an A-. I thought they upgraded greatly in the draft with lots of need defensive picks.
Correct.
One luxury pick in Ryan Switzer on the offensive side who will help immediately.
Okay.
But what has happened, it's not about Dallas's demise, it's about New England's rise. And that's all Vegas is saying is, this is the most prohibitive favorite I can ever remember on, what's today, May the 4th?
May the 4th.
Right?
May the 4th.
Okay, on May the 4th, the Patriots, it's over and done because Malcolm Butler just reported to OTAs yesterday. He did? So I guess he's going to actually be a Patriot next year, along with the best corner on the market, Stephon Gilmore. Tom Brady has his first deep threat in Brandon Cooks since Randy Moss, 07, right?
Yep.
And Coney Ealy, all of a sudden you stole him, and he's going to give you a potential stud pass rusher, right? Yes. Off the edge. And wait, Dante Hightower stayed in New England when everybody thought he was going to flee for more money. He actually took a little less money to stay home. wow. Well, they got nothing but better and better. And then even that Mike Gillislee from Buffalo, I like him. I always liked him in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And now he's going to maybe be a slight upgrade over LeGarrette Blount at running back. It feels over to me, so I'm actually happy the Cowboys are still hanging in at 12-1, which is the second choice, which is tied with, 4 other teams?
Yes.
But the thing that shocked me was the Giants, that I'm pretty high on, you're high on them, they're 20-1. So Vegas is screaming at us, nope, you guys are both overrating the New York Giants. 12-1 Dallas, 20-1 New York. So they're saying, okay, so they got Brandon Marshall. Okay, so they drafted, what's his name? Evan Ingram. You know, who we just both love.
Yes.
Okay, great. You upgraded hugely. But did you upgrade in your offensive line? You did not. Do you have a running back of note? You do not. Will they sign LeGarrette Blount? Maybe. I don't know.
Heard they were talking to him. There was mutual interest, so we'll see.
But again, off these odds, 12-1 to 20-1, I am loving my 12-4 prediction for Dallas much more than your 9-7 prediction for Dallas, because Vegas is saying Dallas has a chance to win lots of games in the NFC East because the Eagles and the Redskins are 50-1.
Well, actually, they did not. They say Dallas is 9.5 wins. That's what they expect. So that's not a lot.
Another service. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
But that's what was said. Skip, clearly, Vegas doesn't like the draft as much as you, and they don't like the defection of the people that they lost. You say you brush it off and says, okay, you called him Brandon used car. Claiborne was always hurt. Barry Church, they had no services going on, so Church was not in session. Will Cox, he was a hitter, but he was liability. So clearly, what you think of Dallas and what they think of Dallas is something entirely different. But when you look at this, Skip, so I'm looking at the Patriots like when Tiger was in his absolute apex, Tiger of the field, I give you the field, I take the Patriots.
Okay.
Because that's where we are right now.
Yep, I agree. That's
Super
a good
Bowl.
analogy. I buy that.
But if you look at New England is the favorite at what, 7-2?
Yes.
7-2. Okay, now you got Dallas, Seattle, Oakland, and Green Bay and Atlanta.
All 12-1. 12-1, yeah.
What do they all have in common? What do they all get? Consistent QB play. Matt Ryan, MVP last year, went to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, 2-time league MVP, has been to the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, solid, 2 times to the Super Bowl. He's won
Okay,
one.
but there's one odd quarterback out in that group.
Hold on.
right?
Just a second.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, the Raiders, Derek Carr, he got a vote for the MVP with heavily contention until he broke his leg.
Yep.
Dallas and Dak, they said what we saw last year and the consistency in which he's played with, we think because they're going to get great play at that position. And you said it's the most important position. I agree with you. You must have consistent play at that position unless you have a transcendent defense. They don't have that. So in order for them to meet the expectations of you winning 11 games, he's going to have to play well. Vegas believes that because of these quarterbacks' play, obviously Tom Brady, nothing needs to be said about him, but they brought the majority of their key contributors to that Super Bowl victory, and they get Gronk back. Now, how healthy will he be? How long can he stay healthy? But we've seen when he's healthy, he's the most dominant offensive weapon in football, non-quarterback. So we know what they're up against. I thought the Falcons maybe would have been a favorite, but I think they factored in the loss of Kyle Shanahan. I thought the Packers should also, because the Packers beat the Cowboys, but I think they're factoring in they lost 2 starting offensive linemen.
They did?
So they're factoring that in. And the thing that I know is that Vegas is really smart about this. The most popular team in America is who, Skip? The Cowboys.
Not even close.
So guess what? We're going to put the odds down here. We're going to let them go ahead and put that money out there because we already know how it's going to end in the end. So we'll just rig that money.
How is it going to end in the end? Miss playoffs?
You already know.
That's what you said.
No.
right?
Skip.
9-7
Skip
is not getting into the playoffs.
I got Skip. They haven't even had an OTA yet. They haven't had a mini camp yet. They haven't gone to training camp, and you want to try to. I know what you're trying to do. Don't worry about that. I'm just going by what Vegas says. Vegas says it's 12-1. They put them at 12-1 because they know Cowboy fans are look loony sometimes. They're gonna go put all that money. Oh, we're gonna find here's 500 here, 25 there, 1,000 there, and Vegas just like, yep, gonna build us a new casino with this old Cowboy money.
So the Giants don't have any heavy hitter gamblers or
No.
no faith, no support?
Don't, but, hey, Eli said, don't worry. Hey, his name is in the building. When they first opened Cowboys Stadium, what did he do, Skip?
He
Tell the people
wrote it on the wall.
and let it be known.
Yeah, he's going to pay for that on opening
no, he gonna pay for-
Sunday night. Yeah, he will.
He said, Jack Rabbit, I need you to handle something for me.
Yeah.
He said, what's that? He said, that number 88, the one that does this right here?
Yes.
I want you to put his hands like this
Yeah.
and walk him off the feet.
I already told you what Jack Rabbit's going to look like because he does wear cowboy boots off the field, right? That's what you told me?
I was thinking, no, he's really not a Jack Rabbit. He's like a Flemish giant. You know what a Flemish giant is?
I do not.
It's a big old rabbit. They can get like bucks. You know, rabbits, they treat them like deer. They like bucks and does. And a Flemish giant can get, I think a buck should be about between like 14 and 16 pounds, and a doe should be like 10 to 12 pounds. But they can get as big as like 19, 20. I think the
A
biggest.
20-pound rabbit?
Yeah, a Flemish giant.
How do you know this?
And I think the biggest one on record was over 50 pounds.
Why would you know this?
What do you do if you come in contact with a 50-pound rabbit?
I mean, they just, Skip, I need to know a little bit about everything.
How much does Bugs Bunny weigh?
Well, Bugs Bunny was upright. Bugs was a little anemic. I think
He
it
looked
was
a little skinny,
I
but he
think
might have
Bugs-
weighed 50.
No,
right?
Bugs
He had a
Bunny, he
good
weighed about
trunk,
15.
though.
He weighed about 15 pounds.
I don't know how this
Okay.
happens.
I think I'm gonna get
I don't know.
Hazel a Flemish giant to play with.
To play, she ripped to pieces. Hazel?
You gonna let her kill the
Hazel's
rabbit?
She's the fiercest Maltese this side of Malta.
No mercy. Monday Morning Quarterback did a profile of Tim Tebow yesterday. It was revealed that Tebow tore his left oblique just days before his MLB showcase last August. At the event, pitcher Chad Smith told Tebow, quote, "Be ready for some fastballs." Smith said this was because he was a Tebow fan and he didn't want him to look bad. Shannon, what's your take on this?
Skip,
What?
I just want you to know, in my sincere voice and in manner, I take no pleasure in this. It hurts me, Skip, because I know you're hurting. You my brother.
Me?
Skip, I got a bunch of these cards, quotes that I've written down since I went to Savannah State in 1986. And one of my favorite is, a single lie discovered is enough to create doubt in every truth expressed.
Oh, so this a lie was discovered?
Didn't you tell us yesterday that it's okay to lie if it keeps you from
that's
harm and, what was it, anguish or something?
Yeah. Great harm,
Or just
despair, or embarrassment.
Oh, you're adding that now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, Sandy Alderson, and Skip, I'm not going to get into all of this. He said, part of it was baseball related, and part of it was the Barnum and Bailey effect. He said, the Mets have a brand. I look at Tim as someone who wouldn't necessarily enhance the brand. He wouldn't degrade it, but he would expand it. They asked him also, would he have signed Tim Tebow without the celebrity element? Probably not.
Probably not. That very, very honest answer from Sandy Alderson.
And I told you this was all what was about in the beginning. They didn't think he could play. They wanted someone who could expand their brand. They loved the celebrity aspect of one Tim Tebow. And you know what, Skip? It is what it is. This was a sham. This was a fraud. This was a Trojan horse, a charlatan. That's what it is. And you don't want to admit that because guess what, Skip? He's finding out how difficult it is. Because I know what you do. When I look at Tim Tebow's average and I say, well, look at this, what it is. You'll try to find, over the last 10 games, over the last 20 games. But over the last 20 games, Skip, guess how many home runs he has?
How many?
0. Over his last 14 games, how many RBIs does he have, Skip?
Tell me when it's my turn.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you.
My turn to talk?
No,
Oh,
not just yet. Not just yet.
Those are-
Hold on. Hold off just a second. Whoa.
Those are questions I'm not supposed to answer because they're actually your questions that are answers.
0.
Right? Okay.
He's hitting 232. It's over. He is what a lot of people thought this was all along. This was all about a celebrity. It's all about keeping his name in the headlines. But Skip, you told me the hardest thing to do in pro sports is hit a baseball. And he wanted me to believe, and you wanted me to believe, and you wanted me to believe too, that a man that has not played a game in 11 years can come off the street and was just rocketing balls over the scoreboard. I knew it. I said it from the beginning, and I know it all along, and everything this picture did was just confirm what me and a lot of people knew.
That's it? You finished?
Let's see. Fool's gold. Fugazi. Cubic zirconia. What else can I use that's fake? Go ahead. It's
Your
all
argument.
It's all you. It's all you, Skip. I don't want to talk no more. I don't want to talk.
The fakest argument I've ever heard. The longest-headed argument, the most unfair, misleading argument in the history of arguments just emanated from your lips. And I'm about to set you straight on every point you just made.
Do that for me.
Let's go back to the top. And look, I know big picture. If you just hate Tim Tebow, I get it.
No. Nothing about no hate. Let's go ahead. Let's
All
the facts.
So let's go back to the, what do they call it, showcase?
Yes.
USC, attended by myself and Joy. So we sat right there in about the 5th row, and we watched this whole thing unfold. So first they took batting practice, and it's just basic 80, 85 mile an hour lob pitches, basically. And he rocked a couple of them over the scoreboard in right center field. Is that fair? They cleared the scoreboard. They were moonshots because he does have raw power. But obviously, a lot of young kids have raw power, but they can't hit big league pitching. So then we go to the outfield, and Tebow demonstrated right away he could be a serviceable left fielder. I don't even know which position he's playing, some center and some right. But he made throws to second, third, and home from all the fields, actually just center and right.
Right.
And he has velocity, but inconsistent accuracy. But I thought he could just be serviceable in the outfield.
Accuracy
just
was
like,
a problem.
Well, it's just
throwing the ball. Hey, he has accuracy.
yeah, except when it was time, with 5 minutes or less to go
Skip,
in NFL games,
we
he
talking
got
about
real
baseball.
accurate.
Skip.
Okay,
Stay on point.
Back to this.
Okay.
So then comes the live pitching. Chad Smith is a nobody. He had 2 brief stints in the major leagues with 10 games and 2 games, and he has officially retired from the big leagues, and he is a friend of Tim Tebow. So he went first, and Tebow looked pretty off. This is live, unpredicted pitching, where he's actually throwing his assortment without telegraphing anything. And Tebow looked late on just about everything. So then here comes David Aardsma, who was a pretty accomplished big league reliever, bounced around for a while, but he had a couple of big years. One big year in 2009, he had 38 saves, 2.52, and he made it clear he was auditioning for the mini scouts in the stands himself. So this is live, baby, and he's throwing lots of stuff, including lots of changeups and curveballs, and Tim looked a little overmatched. And we did a Facebook Live, and I said just as much. And then came Chad Smith for the 3rd go-round, and according to this article, Chad Smith said, hey, get ready for some fastballs, because he knew that Tim was hurt. I didn't know Tim was hurt. I couldn't see that he was wincing when he swung, but whatever. I don't even care whether he was hurt or not. He still looked late on the telegraph fastballs, and he made some contact on all 3 of those stints, but everything was hit to the opposite field. He pulled nothing while he was going against the live pitching. And I didn't love it, but at least he was making some contact. So I don't really care about this, because Sandy Alston made it clear he didn't really care about the showcase. They said Tim had, what was it, maybe 15 teams were interested, but I think Tim wanted to play the Palace, play New York, play with the Mets, if in fact he could ever get to the big leagues. And so he chose the Mets, who immediately thought enough of Tim Tebow to throw him into the hottest fire you could throw him into, the Arizona Fall League, against kids who are 1 step from the big leagues. So help me out here.
Yes.
Were any of those kids telegraphing groove fastballs to Tebow?
No.
You think any of them said, hey,
No.
because they're fighting for their baseball lives.
No.
Okay? And what did he do? I told you it took him a while to settle in. He hadn't played for 11 years, but in the Arizona Fall League over the last 11 games, he hit .281, which was decent. It's 9 for 32 with a .425 on base. And I told you he's like a miniature poor man's Jason Giambi. You know, that's what Jason prided himself on. Can I take the walks? Can I lay off the pitches just off the corner? And Tim's got a pretty good eye. So then they bring him to the big league camp, and they throw him into some big league spring training games. It's unfair. Do you realize the guts it takes? Because you could get completely humiliated, and occasionally he did, by big league pitching.
If you go to that fair again, can you get me a bag of cotton candy, candy apple, and some candy peanuts?
But I'm just saying, for an accomplished athlete who had one of the most miraculous runs an NFL quarterback
He was a
has
football
ever had,
player, Skip.
But
He's
I'm
not
saying,
an athlete.
Yes, he is an athlete. You're saying he's not an athlete? He's a big stud athlete.
He's not that athlete that can transcend and go from one sport to another. He couldn't even switch positions.
So then the Mets say, okay, we've seen enough. We'll send you to A-ball. And he goes to A-ball, and I said, let's let him play out the whole summer here. Let's see what happens as he gets into the rhythm of night after night after night, bus ride after bus ride. And what has happened, opposite your stats, over the last 11 games for whatever his team is called, I don't even know what they're called.
Fireflies.
Over those 11 games, he's hit 324. That's pretty great. That's 12 for 37 with an on-base of 419, which is pretty great. Which is why Sandy Alderson, the Mets GM, was asked just about 10 days ago, are you thinking about promoting Tim Tebow to high A ball? And he said, yes, we are. We're thinking about it, but we hate to take away such a gate attraction because we know he's going to be that from the Fireflies because it's in Columbia. It's a pretty big draw, right? Yeah. It's a pretty big town. Your brother lives there. And so he doesn't want to yank their biggest draw out from under them this early in the season. So he said, let's let it play out a little bit farther before we promote Tim Tebow. I think he's right on track. I think it's been very impressive what he's done. And again, it wasn't rigged in the audition. That's absurd.
Skip. First of all, there's nobody throwing lob pitches at 80, 85 miles an hour. It's probably more like 25, 30 miles an hour. That's first and second.
The BP, it's like 80.
Ain't nobody throwing no 80 miles an hour. I've seen BP. I've seen him hit in the home run derby. They're not throwing 80 miles an hour, Skip. Stop it.
Somewhere in there.
No. 35, 40. Second.
40? That's like underhanded.
Yeah, basically that's what BP is. Skip.
Whatever.
Now you're pooping on Chad Smith. You're calling him a nobody because he told the truth. Don't get mad because the guy told the truth. I was grooving. I told Tim Tebow, get ready for some fastballs.
He still couldn't hit him. He didn't impress anybody in his third stint. They'd already seen him against Chad Smith, Ardsma, and then Chad Smith came back again.
Now you're concerned about...
It's absurd.
Hold on.
That's rigged?
Hold on.
It's a joke.
Great athletes. Now you're talking about, he was overmatched. So?
He hadn't played in 11 years.
That's my point. That's why I knew it was a sham from the start. And third, now, if he's going to be Chris Davis, can he, Chris Davis is kind of like feast of famine. He can hit 50 home runs, but he's probably going to strike out 200 times. Skip, let it go. Even though he has
let it go.
Over the last 11 games, he's batting 300. He has a 40.
You know what? He's better than Michael Jordan ever thought about being at baseball.
Let me ask
I've seen it.
Let me ask you this. How many guys hitting 232 in Class A will get promoted to Double A?
Okay, but you have to give him
Skip,
time.
I'm just asking
last 11 games, he's on fire.
And
I'm saying,
and even those last 11 games, he's still hitting 232.
He got off to a bad start. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's scary.
How many guys?
Are they grooving fastballs to him in Class A? I think not.
That's why he got 232. How many guys, not named Tim Tebow, playing single A ball, will bat 232 or below and get promoted to the next level?
He was on fire. Sandy Alderson, you look up the quote. He's saying, yeah, we're thinking about promoting him. How good he's looking. I
also looked up the quote and said if he was not a celebrity, we probably wouldn't have signed him.
That was a very honest answer.
Okay, then.
But if any big football player, if Cam Newton said, I want to play baseball, they would sign him. They'd give him a shot.
Skip,
trust me.
You're missing the point.
No, you're missing the point.
The point is he got an opportunity only because of his celebrity, not because he could play. Okay. And I'm asking you, but you won't answer me. How many guys, not named Tim Tebow?
Nobody would.
Okay, that's all I want.
But how many NFL players, NFL stars, if they said, I want to play baseball, would they get a shot? Would the Mets give them a shot? Yes, they would. If Drew Brees said, I want to play baseball, and he's a pretty good baseball player, trust me, somebody would give him a shot to go to Class A.
Yeah, because it's a draw.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the guys that play football, they're really good at it. It's the guys that can't find their way. He won't let it go. His brand is really important to him. That's why he keeps going to New York. His best chance to start, his best chance to play, his fan base, he's close, was in Jacksonville. But Jacksonville did not have the platform that New York did. This has always been about Brandon. This was never about him thinking he could play in the major leagues.
Okay,
this is all about a brand.
Has Tim Tebow been an embarrassment as a baseball
No,
player? No.
He hasn't been an embarrassment as a human being. But you don't get to jump from sport to sport because you haven't been an embarrassment. You need to be able to provide a service and not gate attraction. Can you help them win games? No, he
They're
can't.
trying to find that out.
They're trying. Skip.
It's May the 4th, right?
Skip.
So let's see. June, July, August. Let's wait until September 1st. Let's see how he's playing then.
Sandy Alderson didn't say, I don't want to take Tim Tebow because he's helping the team win. He says, I don't want to take him because I don't want to take their gate.
No, but you're right. But he's giving him a chance because he thinks there's a long shot chance he could make it to the big league.
Skip, this is the first time I heard you say it. Say it, what you just said before. You're right.
Huh?
Say it. Say, Shannon, you're right.
Right about what?
About this was all about celebrity. This was all about a brand. This was
No, that's
all
how he
about
got his foot in the door.
Sports is entertainment. It's not all about winning. We say that all the time.
The guys can play.
There's the
So how many guys? Let me ask you a question.
And then there's the
So let me
entertainment
ask-
side
so
of
let me
sports.
ask you-
You have to sell tickets. You have to sell merchandise. You have to make money. It's a business. It's why it's called professional.
If that's the case, why don't Jacksonville go hire Brad Pitt or Ben Affleck to play?
Can
He's
they
an
play?
athlete.
Whoa!
Can they play? Hey, you don't think they give Brad Pitt a shot if he could hit 324 over an 11-game
Let me ask you a
stretch?
question.
I'd go see that. I'd watch that every
Did Brad Pitt win
night.
an NFL playoff game?
Let me ask you a question.
Shannon,
That's a good
How
question.
many guys?
Shannon,
Huh?
did Brad Pitt win an NFL playoff game?
No, he didn't.
Really? Well, then
Really?
why did you
So
bring
hold
it
on.
up?
Because he's an actor, not an athlete.
So Tim Tebow is the only guy that's ever won a playoff game.
What?
He's the only quarterback that's ever won a playoff game. You make it seem like he did something. You making it seem like he did something nobody else has ever done.
No,
I'm saying that he
That's
won
his
an NFL
cachet.
playoff game because he's an athlete. That's why they gave him an opportunity.
Okay,
Because he's an athlete and because
No,
he's
he was a
draw.
football. No, Joy, stop. He's a football
Football
player.
players aren't athletes now?
No, hold on. Football player. I look at athlete as being able to do something else. Just because you can play football doesn't make you a great athlete. You keep talking, he's an athlete like he's Deion Sanders.
No,
like
I think being by definition being a professional athlete makes you an athlete.
Okay, well, hey, you know what? Whomever. If you play anything with a ball, you can be bowling you're athletic. You play snooker pool, you're athletic. You play pool, billiards, you're an athlete. You and I both know, Skip. Let's be all the way 100. How many NFL teams draft guys think and say, you know what? I just want his brand. He can't help me win a game, but I just want his brand. Where they do that at, Skip?
Okay, but if some baseball player said, I want to become the next great quarterback in the NFL, they would bring them to training camp and say, okay, we'll give you a shot in camp.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You don't believe it.
I do believe it.
But a lot of people make excuses. Oh, well, Tim Tebow, he's not. He's not hurting anyone. But he's batting .232, and there's a chance of him getting promoted. Why? Because he's a celebrity.
Nobody's going to lose their job over Tim Tebow. When it comes down to the line, they'll make the right decision.
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on Channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. That's where we leave all the debates for today. We run it back tomorrow when we're joined by Hall of Famer Chris Carter and Rob Parker. And join me on Facebook Live at 12:30 Eastern on Facebook.com/Fox Sports 1. I'll be on with James Jones. We'll talk to you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.